Hello and welcome. Here we are again, the Marianne and Corinna duo. And we had an, I would say, absolutely interesting conversation yesterday that actually went even we went beyond the normal 45 minutes to an hour that we usually do. We almost went 2 hours just because we not only were all over the place, but we dug in and what is going on here and why is that this way and what's and asking questions. And again, as usual, checking what is the red thread that was throughout the whole conversation. How can we tie
Mhm.
this together? What came was the magic of opposites. And today it's Marianne's time to start us off. Here you go.
Thank you, Corinna. And it is the conversation yesterday went all over the place, but that is not that unusual. When we
No.
have our conversation, we go all over the place. The interesting thing yesterday was that common thread as the opposites.
Mm-hmm.
As we were going on and on and on, as when looking at the end, what is that thread that we can speak to? As a sudden looked like, oh, but we went with so many things that we saw always the opposites of
Mm-hmm.
each other within the conversation. And going back a little in the conversation of yesterday, what was for me palpable in the last days since the Ukrainian and Russian thing going on were the two opposites of one of despair, of panic, of really downwards, going downwards, and all over the world nearly. And at the other side, that energy of joy and happiness and my heart opening up so in a different
Mm-hmm.
way. It's not bigger, it's in a different way. And how do you match those two things? That was in my world a question in my world. And Corinna, it was later on during this day that I became clear about, wow, but it was truly that sense in my heart, the energy, what we could call also the energy of light, the energy of pure love, the energy of you want to call it, how do you want to call it? It doesn't matter, but that was so much more present, intense present, that it took me to see also the other side as shining so bright on the darkest side that it is visible, that the darkest side is also visible. And in a way, visible that it's not longer possible to turn my head away of it because it is put in a kind of beautiful energy, light energy. It's weird how I say it perhaps, but that is what I perceive today for myself. And within that, I thought, yes, we spoke yesterday about the magic of the opposites also. Isn't that magical that when there is, when we allow the pure love, we throw out all the judgments, then the light can be so bright that even the darkest point is enlightened and we can embrace it. We can embrace it and look at it as, could it be that it is part of everything what I see here in the light? And that brought me to one explanation I heard Matthias de Stefano saying about what is consciousness. And he said it in a way that consciousness is the ability to unite and understand all the logics, all pieces we separated from the beginning.
Yeah.
And I love that way he explained that as we are so cute, as we cut off so many things, we throw them nearly away.
Yeah.
And then we start, because we throw them away, we start to be in a need position. We are needy of so many things, but already we're part of us. So that consciousness is that ability to recollect everything we threw away, we separated and unite them again. And when everything is united, then judgment can't exist any longer.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that is my new way of going with what we spoke to yesterday.
Yeah, what I want to bring up is what we, because that stuck with me, and uh, yeah, we talked about how much we judge within ourselves. Those are good qualities and those are bad qualities, and I don't want to have anything to do with the bad qualities, and therefore I'm cutting them off. And then we also talk about, the twin flame that completes us. And it was interesting that as a sudden, we became aware of, is the twin flame then representing that part of us that we cut off, and we are the part of that the twin flame cut off, and therefore we feel whole again.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was really an interesting thing for me, because what is wholeness?
Mhm.
Wholeness, sitting with that yesterday evening, and also writing about it a little bit, wholeness, isn't that me accepting all the aspects of who I am, all of me, without judgment?
Mm,
Then
yeah,
I'm whole. And when I am whole, I not only can see the wholeness in another, I can allow the wholeness in another. And that then, in a way, as you said too, is takes away the need to judge,
yeah,
and
yeah,
gets us out of the duality that we so subscribe to, that it
yeah,
isn't either or, this or that,
yeah,
this is good, this is bad. And what if the reality is not black and white, but shades of gray?
yeah. This brings me, Corinna, to the wholeness, as we several times spoke also about we are infinite. And
Mm-hmm.
infinite is also some term that is not cognitively, we can't
Yeah.
yet understand it. The wholeness is something similar, looks for me, and it has something, has a different vibration as we speak to the same energy in a way. But when you came with that word, the wholeness, it looks for me that it is more reachable to become clear on it.
Mm-hmm.
As I know, in essence, from the start, I am whole, I
Yeah.
am complete. But then I chose to separate. So there are two sides of me,
Yeah.
still connected, the one with the other. So I'm still whole. I'm still those two parts. And when it starts to widen up more, it looks then in a moment that it is so far
Yeah.
outside one the other that as a sudden it looks that I cut it off. I can't see it
Yeah.
any longer. I can't, yeah, I can't deal any longer with it as it doesn't exist any longer. And is it there where the complication comes in that we play that duality as in the
Mhm.
opposites from the wrongness, where the opposites, what if the opposites are the whole? When we go from the one to the other, they are connected. But to get it that they are connected, then we have, in a way of speaking, going upwards so we can have
Yeah. Got you.
another vision from above.
A higher point of view, so to speak. Not, and I don't mean higher as a better or
Exactly.
a value, but it's uh, here from this level, I see the separation, and if I take another step up and look down onto it, I can see how it still is connected.
Exactly, as in a plane, when you are in a plane and
Yeah,
you look downwards, then you see the whole city. And when
yeah,
you are in your house, you know that the whole city is there, but so many houses don't exist because you can't see them.
yeah.
Yes, that.
You only see your neighborhood, so to speak,
Yeah,
but not the rest.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
So the wholeness is perhaps some term that is more accessible to start and play and explore and go with it than being infinite.
I can absolutely get that. Yeah. And, the
Mhm.
thing is, this is somewhere I read it yesterday in some of the social media is this is that you cannot recognize the light in the absence of the darkness.
Also true.
And
Yeah.
you cannot recognize the darkness in the absence of light. It takes the two to be able to recognize both of them.
Yes, that
And
brings me
for
with
me,
what I started with, that
yeah,
light that brightened up so the darkness that I could see it. Yes, go on. I interrupted you. Go
and
on.
so it's truly is we need both.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
it's and so have we created something artificial by basically dividing or separating into the light and the darkness, whatever that represents? It could be the judgment of good and bad, right and wrong, or whatsoever. We have created something artificial
Yeah.
that is actually not real.
Exactly, because the opposites for me are not per definition the same opposites for you. As
Yeah,
though what I see as a shadow for you can be a lightness and a brightness.
exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah.
And I
And
have to, yeah,
go, go, go.
I have to admit that right now after that conversation yesterday, I'm really sitting with, so should I be interested in the opposite of what I usually am interested? And on the other hand, it's not new. I have challenged myself. Like, there is ideas and thoughts that I do not like. And I've challenged myself to listen or read whatever that other idea or thought is about. And what I noticed is that as a result of that, there is sometimes, that's actually interesting and it's complementary. Or I got the, oh, that is the base belief system on upon which you build that. And
Mm,
because I'm not sharing that base belief, it's opposite for me.
yeah.
And I can be an allowance of it. I may still say no to it. It really depends. It's not that as a sudden everything that is opposite to me I need to condone.
Exactly. Exactly. It's not because what if, what if we can recognize, acknowledge, embrace, and being honest, continue being honest with ourselves, as it can be that an opposite thing is not required or is not resonating with me in that moment. But there
Mm-hmm.
is a difference. It's not resonating and I throw it away, or I acknowledge it. It is also part of me and it isn't resonating in the moment, so I don't have to choose it.
Which is something, it reminds me that, oh God, uh, almost 30 years ago, 25, 30 years ago, I had that awareness that in my life, I have the choice from what I consider the most high, the most sacred, the most loving, to the worst possible energy. And it's my choice of where within that spectrum I want to be right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
am I choosing right now? It doesn't mean that I have to deny that. And I'm also aware I'm not choosing it.
That, and when you are not choosing it but aware of it, then there is allowance.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it
And
is upon us.
it is upon us. And what I would like to say, because that was a real, was difficult for me to, what does allowance mean?
Mm.
And for a while, being in allowance, I basically acted like a doormat
Oh,
because I had to be in allowance. And uh, and for me, where I am today, I can be in allowance of the other, and I can still say no.
exactly. Because the energy is so different. The second part of what you were saying, and towards the first part, that first part, that allowance, the allowance of the doormat is not allowance, because
Yeah,
then you throw yourself into all the energies without checking in with yourself, without understanding, without acknowledging, without so many things. So, yeah, completely different energy than through
Yeah.
allowance. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And
And
it's
isn't that,
similar. Yeah, go ahead.
I wonder myself in this second again about that is the magic of those opposites when we
Hmm.
truly allow opposites, acknowledging that they are connected. So they are part of the whole I am. Why should I continuing to or throw away or to cut off or to judge or if I have my target. How many people's target is looking for the whole they are? They are looking for themselves. They are searching and going past and always. But how many at the same time still throw things away? Even and I got it also, and I spoke to it. I believe 2 weeks ago. Is as a sudden going with something that catched myself enormously. I got really enthusiastic and I followed it and I asked questions and everything was expanding. And then, as a sudden, 2 weeks ago, there was that aha moment, as in, whoa. But when I was running with that joy and that enthusiasm, I was running, that I wasn't really aware of how much of my true joy I was cutting off. A
Mm.
true joy I
Hmm.
already was and had. So it is quite complicated, those opposites, because we are not giving ourselves the space to be the whole all the time, even if we don't understand it, if we don't get it, if we
Yeah,
play and explore with the idea of the wholeness. Could it be more ease?
probably. And listening to what you said, I just realized is how many belief systems do we have of what is okay or not okay?
Mhm.
Like the other day, I had such a sense of, I don't know, joy, happiness. It was just absolutely great seeing nature and all of the beauty around me. And then I heard that voice in my head, but there is war. How can you be happy?
Exactly.
And, you know, I so appreciate the level of presence that I have become that I could be with that and say, yeah, I I hear you. And what contribution is it to anybody, no matter on which side or whatever, if I'm playing sad right now?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, what, and I'm taking that, I mean, that was a real personal experience, but if I expand on that a little bit, how much am I really contributing to what is currently going on if I go into judgment?
Mm.
If I
Yeah,
go into judgment, then I feed one side and starve the other side, so to speak. And what if I can stay on neutral, which is what I chose as this anchoring peace,
yeah,
having the energy of peace? And it's not that I spent the whole day, oh, I have to be peace, I have to be peace. Whenever it comes up, Uh, okay, let's be peace for a moment, and then I continue doing whatever my day is about.
Yeah. And
But
as
how much
can I
is,
expand a little on that peace you mentioned?
for me, being peace is a part of being peace is being out of judgment.
Exactly. And what this brings due to the conversation now is also that space of
Yeah,
peace you were choosing. How much is that brightening up that light, shining brightly as giving light to what is so supposed the negative side, war is seen as the negative, as
yeah,
the opposite of the peace. But with choosing that as I went with it also, and truly it is beautiful because in that brightness I choose to be and shine is like nurturing and shining light on the opposite side. So they themselves, who are playing now in the opposite side, perhaps can see a sprinkle of light, a little, whatever they require
yeah,
to notice that calmness, and then it can expand in themselves.
yeah.
So it is integrating into the whole, as I would
It's
not
coming
say
back to the
integrating
whole. Yeah,
into the life, but it is integrating into the whole. And I know for myself, all those voices that's coming up then is also that question, yeah, what do you think? You are so far away and all by yourself. Do you think that it will be making a difference? And it was so clearly for the first time I noticed was so, yeah, I hear you, but this is what I'm choosing and I know it makes a difference. I know. And that was so clear that I thought, whoa, this is something I would not have catched before
yeah,
because I would have catched only that voice telling me blah, 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 blah.
yeah,
Now there was so much. And it was because I wasn't in the fight. I wasn't against, I wasn't not denying what there is on the
yeah,
opposite.
yeah,
And isn't that magical that even in that way we can serve, quote unquote, the whole by being the whole ourselves and what we can choose with that?
yeah. There is, yeah, whichever. I don't know what to say right now except for how much have we bought, subscribed to the idea that we need to separate right from wrong without the understanding that right and wrong always go together. One, I mean, if I really look at it, can right exist without what I label wrong?
Exactly. Yeah. And isn't that here what we this turning point we came to, isn't it coming from severe experiencing those separations, those opposites, those right and wrongs as it dawned in a way as we can't go on with separating or dividing ourselves in
Yeah,
two and so many more pieces. But coming from, we got the experience for many lifetimes.
yeah,
And somehow for me, it is like how much light. do you find when you are willing to go really deep into the darkness as the highest point of the light and the deepest point of the darkness, when you go further and further and further, do they touch each other again?
Mm. Which,
And is that a
I
turning
mean,
point where we are in now, as we went farther away, but then we reached that point, so we clicked and we come back again. Yeah.
and I remember thinking that even as when I went to university and I became involved in university life and everything, and went to I mean, even in the early 70s, there was still lots of demonstrations, etc. And listening to what was being said, the right was saying this and the left was saying that. And I said, actually, you're saying exactly the same. It's just you're saying it from front to back, and those are saying it from back to front. But
Exactly.
it's exactly the same. And that I'm just realizing right now that is, in a way, also showing the wholeness,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
circle of wholeness. And it's, yeah,
And how
is,
beautiful is that, that you now in this moment can recognize and acknowledge that, oh, but so many years back, I already got it in a way, as I chose not to get what I really got there, as it is the
yes,
same, but I chose to go on with the
yeah,
separation as we did, as we
yeah.
did. But
And
how many things are they that they're in your life now for all who are listening already when you throw yourself back in time? How many epiphanies were there where you became aware of, but those
yeah,
two looks like going against each other, but truly
yeah,
they're saying the same thing. Yeah.
yeah. And, you know, looking at it from another perspective, isn't the judgment that exists uh, ultimately going to kill us? Because if we have judgment, we automatically have a scapegoat, something that is wrong, a group of people that is wrong, a country that is wrong, an action that is wrong. And in scapegoating, aren't we then not willing to look at what is?
Yeah.
And for me, I said it earlier, it's reality is ultimately shades of gray. And it's a lot more complicated to be with shades of gray instead of this is white and this is black.
Yeah.
Simple, straightforward,
Yeah.
not a problem. And, you know, how many wars have we fought because of the white and black judgment? And we even fight the war for having eternal peace. Huh?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
this is
could it be,
crazy.
Corinna, what comes in now with your speaking to the gray zone is, could it be that the wars coming up, as it is more clear, the theater that is playing or the film that is going, it is more clear that it is a lot is fake. So from that gray zone, as how would I say, at looks like when you have a tour people make with some, like how there is the circus or someone, yeah? And they going from this land to that land and that land, and then they play their whatever there is to play. they go and it's ending up, and then they go further, and then they play there and there and there. So with those wars, if we see the changes coming in, could it be that from now on, every quote unquote war will erase and end up more quickly because of it's not possible to stand up for that long because there is not quite clear the white and the black, but there is that gray, and that is wonky ponky. So it can't
Yeah,
stay. And then, oh, here it didn't work, so we will try there, and there the next
it
episode
doesn't
doesn't
work
work
either.
either. So could it be that, yeah, as we go on, that it looks like it can be looking like we could have more wars as before, but so short wars that within a short of time, and whatever that would mean, because what is time, we don't know, but within a shorter time period, the gray zone is also rippling out in completely transparent, where everything is and where everything is whole.
And what I'm seeing is how much is a change in the level of what people are aware of or also willing to accept. How much is that changing? And as a result, is changing what is going on in the world overall, no matter
Yeah.
what it is.
And
And
that makes it more gray also. It goes
yeah,
together. Everything goes together there. Yeah.
yeah,
Hmm. And isn't it beautiful that we are really in the middle of the magical time? And I know it is weird for some people, and are we allowed to say it? But in a way, it is.
it
And
is.
it's
Yes,
not ease. It's not ease. And when you are in the front line now, as in Ukraine, or it is not ease. And at the same time, we who are not in the front line, more conscious, more cognitively, more from the point of choosing, really choosing what we are contributing to dissolve and
yeah.
to integrate it into some greater. How beautiful and how magical is that?
And I don't know, the thought just crossed my mind is, I mean, if you look at history, we've had so many wars, big ones, small ones, and is the task, so to speak, of this war to showcase the craziness, the insanity
Mm-hmm.
of war.
Yeah.
And yes, it is difficult because it doesn't matter on which side. People are dying and will continue to die.
Yeah. As
And
always was. As
as all,
always.
yeah. And how much gratitude can we have for the whole situation and those involved
Mm.
in the situation to really showcase that?
Yep. And from the whole aspect, we are all part of it. We were
Yeah.
all part of creating it. So, yeah.
Yeah. And are we even willing to ask what role did I, on a personal level, and I, in regards to the country I'm living in, what contribution were we to create that,
Yeah. Yeah.
to have that?
As
And am I
in,
willing to look at that?
yeah,
Or am I saying, oh, it's so much easier, I'm on the good side? I'm living in the US,
exactly.
not in Russia, and therefore,
And
uh,
therefore, and it's not about looking up the situation through the history, because it's not about going and have a look we had at which one as is in the right place, has the right on their side, are the wrong
mhm,
ones, or
yeah, that's all
it's
judgment.
not about this. It's really going for the whole, and
Yeah.
getting that everything is part. And as there is so much about consciousness, but what if consciousness is truly the ability to put all the parts together as becoming whole? And what play can we, yeah, but what role
What,
can we play there?
what, who can we
Yeah.
be? Yeah.
So, Corinna, I have to hop up onto another call I have. So, if it's fine for you, I want to wrap it up here.
Let's wrap it up. I think we exhausted the subject for at least for the time being. I'm not saying that we might not come back and have a different exploration because we're in a different space.
Yeah, and perhaps some brain cells died by listening to our conversation by some people. It is possible also. So, yeah, we are we are on board also.
So yeah, let's continue another conversation next week, same time, same space, same place. Okay.
Yes. See you. Bye bye. Take care.